Hello again, Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, back for more Malifaux, and this time the Spawn Mother, Chaotic Red, so the egg-laying former, sexually mature form of the Silrid. The Spawn Mother leads the packs of the lesser creatures, and now to get into Silrid biology, which gets kind of creepy, though not completely unheard of in the animal world. All Silrid are born male, but the most dominant member of a pack will switch to the female gender, becoming a spawn mother in the process, and start laying eggs. In earlier editions, it seems the spawn mother had weather controlling powers, but this has been dropped for 3rd edition. And now the inside of the mouth is done. Fire Red 09004. The spawn mother can still lay eggs, putting a 40mm egg marker into play, which can then be hatched into a gup swarm. And gups can go from the swarm form to Silrid by killing a living undead or beast model. And this is going to need 2 coats. So, again, my color scheme is inspired by Super Mario, specifically the Cheeps enemy that have been in the game since the first, but the Spawn Mother brings to mind a slightly different version. The boss Bass, which appeared first in Mario 3, was much larger and capable of devouring Mario even at full strength in one hit. It's actually kind of funny to even watch Mario get gulped down by those big fish. And again, not the first time I've let Super Mario inspire some of my paint schemes, especially since in Malifaux I paint each individual model as I see them. I will have to do a second coat again, so I'll just do that off camera. This tube of paint is running really thin, but I do have a spare on hand. And physiologically, this seems to combine aspects of, what am I thinking of? Piranha, anglerfish, especially in the mouth, but also lionfish, which are highly toxic. Toxic enough that I believe a lionfish's venom is actually capable of killing humans, and that's real world, not game world. I just want a nice, somewhat solid first coat of this here. And I'll worry about making it look brighter when I apply the second, which I'll do off camera. And this, she is on a 50mm base. Most human-sized characters are on a 30mm base just for scale. In fact, here's a human-sized character that's coming up next to show the difference. So I'm going to let that dry, apply that next coat of the red, and then move on. And just in time because this system's starting to act up again. Alright. Sun Yellow 09008. And this is definitely going to need a second coat, at least on some areas. If this will cooperate, it might be enough to do the job. So I'm keeping my brush moist but not overly wet. That thins the paint just enough for my purposes without making it too thin and runny. Getting the webbing in between the hands. and silverids seem to be bipedal, at least on land anyway. Haven't seen a sculpt for them on all fours, although that's hypothetically possible. Trying to be as careful as I can to get just the webbing and not the fingers in between. Loosen up on the tail here. Careful on these fins coming on the side of the heads. Head. Oh boy, I am butchering the English language again, which is bad because it's the only language I speak. How bad is it to only speak one language and still not get it right? It's one of the ways I think my coworkers are a really bad influence on me. But that's enough about that. I'm supposed to be on vacation this week. You know, I might leave it blotchy like this after all. It's going to take at least one more session to get all the base coats I want, or clip rather, to get all the base coats I want, so I don't have to decide right this minute. While in most cases you want a nice, smooth, solid base coat, you can gain something by leaving it splotchy on purpose as well for a more mottled appearance, so that's just something to keep in mind. Leather White 09062. See if it still acts. It's not playing very nice with me. I want to get these. I think these are supposed to be egg sacs. And I want to get them and the underbelly. Kind of stops somewhere ambiguous along the jawline. That could end up blending with, yeah, that blended with that yellow a little bit. That's alright, that's fine. It's gonna roll with it. That looks pretty good. There's some moss hanging off her groin here, as well as on her arms, and that's gonna be in the next clip. Just kind of extend that to the hips a little. And yellowed bone 09143. The exact shape of her head also brings to mind very primitive prehistoric fish. Not quite the coelacanth, but it was a proto-shark millions of years ago. I can't quite remember the name of it, though. Had a similar head shape to what the spawn mother has going on here. Though as opposed to teeth and fangs, it had large bony plates. Just real careful trying to get a little coat on the inside of the teeth here without hitting the mouth and gums I did earlier. Gonna get the claws on the feet next, just because those will be easy. And then these big, long, whopping talons on the hands. Okay, that's going to be one more session to get everything, including putting a second layer of yellow on if I feel like it. So I will be back in a bit to wrap up base coats. Alright, olive green 09035. She's got a bit of slime on her. I was going to assume this is assorted plant matter from whatever bog she calls home. You kind of have to eyeball this a little. It's ambiguous where this is supposed to start and where the skin stops. And that is not any kind of loincloth, it's just more of this sludge. Now there's another patch on her right here, right about there. I think that's got it. Now Woodstain Brown 09160. And we'll go ahead and get the base. Notice I'm using the entire edge of the brush. I'm being real careful around the claws, though, on the toes. And I think there's actually a little more of that mold that I missed on the feet. So I'm going to just finish this brown up real quick first. Keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. Going back in the olive green and just getting a little bit right there. Alright, I think that's got it now, so let that dry completely, then I can start shading. Alright, time to shade. I'm going to do this. Muddy Olive 09034. This is going to go over the slime thing with 1 part water to 1 part paint. Make it into a wash and mist. It's going to go over the patches of muck on her. Okay. I think I can go ahead and get the claws and teeth now too, so Stained Ivory 09142. I'll just have to be cautious when I hit the red. Okay. And Marigold Yellow 09007. Okay. Still kind of an emotional mess right now. Let us flow into the crevices here. Keeping the brush nice and wet during all this. And so that right there, the paint's getting a little out of control, so I'll just blot that off a bit with a paper towel. That can happen, that's why you work from the top down, so that should clear up reasonably well when I get the red down there. Okay. Absorb some of that in the mouth and let that dry a little bit on the front here. Now let that dry completely before moving on. Nice flowing start to the shading. And it seems I dropped about 300 frames in the blink of an eye. Alright. Next. Red Brick 09001. Carefully getting the roof of the mouth with this. And the interior, and if it nicks the teeth a little, that's okay. After all, the spawn mothers are all silver is. That boy, I am slaughtering the English language. Spawn mothers are voracious carnivores, just like all other silverids. Vampire Red. If this plays nice with me anyway. Okay, that's another little bit. but it is running very low. Again, thinning with 1 part water to 1 part paint. Just going over the bright red, the fire red from earlier. You want your base coat the overall value of the color you want. Your shade a bit darker, your highlight lighter. I'm going to kind of get the body first, so I'll move on to the limbs. Trying to avoid hitting the underbelly. Carefully trying to get the fingers on this hand. That's not going to be easy. Just care and caution. Being careful on the fingers on the palm of the hand because I don't want to nick the yellow orange. There we go. Let that dry completely, then I can finish shading and go from there. Okay. A little bit of detail and the last bit of shading. I'm going to start with pure black 09037. And I need a finer detail brush. Using just enough water to thin the paint, keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. I'm just going to give her eyes this dead black. Just dead black. Okay. Now, linen white 09061. And this one I will go ahead and thin out with 1 part water to 1 part paint. And then go over the underbelly here. Keeping the brush nice and wet during all of this. go back into that pure black 09037, thin it with 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. Because with particularly dark colors like this, if you do a 1-to-1, it's going to still end up too dark and completely muddy up everything else you're doing. So, getting just straight black to look nice, it's something I'm still having a little trouble with. I have one way of doing things that's okay, but I can do better. In fact, I'm going to try a little experimenting on the very next model I do. You can use a little more straight paint around the foot where some of those other colors bled in. So I'll just let it get a little thicker right around there. Okay. Once that all dries up completely, I can highlight and finish up. So back in a bit. Okay, time to highlight. Vampire red again. Okay. Well, that little bit should be enough. Ragged feathered brush, something along the lines of that. Straight paint, no water. Rubbing most of it on a paper towel tells us there's nothing left. And the lightweight does in the area to be affected. Just a nominal amount inside the mouth here as best I can with those big fangs. And then let's do, yeah, creamy ivory 09144. I'll go ahead and get the fangs and claws. Just focusing on what's readily visible. Ghost White 09063. Phoenix Red 09009, or yeah, 09005 Phoenix Red. Got a little mixed up there. If I can get a grip on a brush. Refreshing the paint as needed. Again, focusing on the most readily visible areas only. I'm trying to avoid the moss, or whatever the muck dripping off her body is. Go back into that creamy ivory a little bit and touch this up here. Lemon yellow 09009. You know, I need to get back into that red one more time. Just do a little bit on the toe there. That looks better. Lemon yellow again, 09009. Again, my focus is on what's readily visible. I'm trying not to nick the red here. Going against any raised areas. Again, refreshing my paint as needed. Pale olive 09036. Just going over the slime here. Shield brown 09161. Go for that mud there. And pure black 09037 to finish up. Switching to a flathead brush. Keeping the brush moist but not too wet, using just enough water to thin the paint. Just going to line the edge again. And because this is a model I can only take one of per game rules, there's no point in marking it. Just cleaning up there. And that is it. The spawn mother from the Bayou faction of Malifaux. continuing with Malifaux in the next video, but switching factions. We've already seen who's coming up next when I did the size comparison. So until then, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing out.